Trinidad and Tobago stands ready to assist the Bahamas after two of its islands have been devastated by the passage of Hurricane Dorian. A statement from the Ministry of Communication says Prime Minister Dr Keith Rowley has been in touch with the Bahamian Prime Minister Hubert Minnis. As of last evening, Dr Rowley has been receiving updates and has been in contact with the rest of the Caribbean community about the situation. The statement said Dr. Rowley remains concerned for the people of the Bahamas and indicated the government's willingness to assist when necessary. He said, as has happened in the past, this country will demonstrate its compassion and willingness to help its CARICOM neighbour. The Prime Minister is awaiting the passage of Dorian to find out what kind of support Trinidad and Tobago can provide to help the Bahamas cope. He said he is hoping for the best and his thoughts are with the affected families and people of the Bahamas at this time. Hurricane Dorian, meanwhile, continues to pound the Bahamas. Kishla Adeli from the International Desk, ZNS in the Bahamas, said Dorian is still very powerful. She told TTT News there are numerous reports of people climbing on top of their roofs to get away from the floodwaters caused by the heavy rains.
We see images of homes with feet of water, floating refrigerators, floating couches, mothers making cries for help who are holed up in homes inundated with water with young children inside. It is not good in Grand Bahama based on what we are being told.
She said the Bahamians are a people of faith.
As you can probably appreciate, this is an historic storm, not just for us, but worldwide. The world is watching this Category 5 storm that has come and sit over the island, flowed from a 5-mile-per-hour storm to a 1-mile-per-hour storm, virtually stationary. That is unheard of. It's hard to absorb, and it's still going on. No one knows what the full extent will be just yet.
Countries like the U.S. have already begun to lend assistance to the islands. U.S. Coast Guard crews are heading for the Bahamas in preparation for a rapid Dorian response. In a press release, the USCG said crew members will be traveling from the Coast Guard Air Station, Clearwater in Florida, by MH-60 Jayhawk helicopter and setting up on the Andros Island. TDT's meteorologist Ian Wallace has the latest update on Hurricane Dorian.
Well, at this time, Dorian continues to crawl across the Grand Bahama. As you can see it here, its eye moving across the Grand Bahama as it goes through the last few hours, crawling at less than 2 kilometers per hour, which is slower than walking pace. Now, the satellite picture shows it's rather impressive. Still, we see those are tropical storm force winds extending over 200 kilometers from its center and hurricane force winds at 40 odd kilometers from its center. Winds of 230 kilometers per hour, and obviously there's still the storm surge and we still have the rainfall coming through, and all of that is continuing to pound the Grand Bahama. That's been leading to the extensive flooding. Now, Dorian has weakened slightly down from the 295 to 240 as it sits over the water, but as it does so, it's basically upwelling some cold water. So that means that some of the energy has been coming out of the system, but not a lot. So it will continue to pound the Grand Bahama overnight. Now, Dorian has set some records. It's now the second strongest Atlantic hurricane behind Allen, which was back in 1980, 298 kilometers per hour, tying with Wilma as well as Gilbert and the Labor Day hurricane, of course, in 1935. Now, we've been talking about the categories. Category 4 at 251 kilometers per hour is still extreme. So at the 230 kilometers per hour, which Dorian currently has, it is still set to cause almost the same catastrophic damage as it did as a Category 5. And unfortunately, we are in at the peak of the hurricane season. As we go late August into September, this is when we tend to see most of the activity across the Atlantic basin.